Okay, what I want to do right now is a modular programming example. We're going to take the top-down approach. Okay, so first order of business is I want to write myself a little program whose sole job is just to simply accept two numbers. It's going to add those two numbers, it's going to subtract those two numbers, and then it's going to multiply those two numbers. I'm trying to keep the program as simple as possible because I want to really focus on the modular design and the top-down approach. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is put in the comments for the project, right? So in they go. There we go, and there's a date there. And I think what I'm going to do down here, excuse me, here, is I know that I'm going to create a module called main. So in Python, that's basically a function. So what I want to do is I want to execute main. Okay, and there's main. And of course, Python is going to crash and burn because we never defined main. So let's go ahead and do that. The way that we define a module or a function in Python is we type in def for define, and then we give it a name. Okay, and in this case, I call it main, just like so. And I need to, in Python, put a colon afterwards. By putting the colon afterwards, we're sending a signal to Python that we have a block of code that's going to be following this particular function, and that every indented line after that function title, which some people refer to them as signatures, after that function title, anything that's indented will be executed as a part of main. Okay, so from a top-down approach, what do I want to do? Well, obviously, I want to get some input, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go pound input, I-N-P-U-T, and I want to do some processing, so I'll go pound processing. And then I want to do some output, pound output. Now, I'm thinking a little bit that I just want to do this with integer numbers. Okay, so let's see, 3 calculations on 2 up here. I'll say integer, I-N-T-E-G-E-R, 2 integer numbers. That means that my input's going to have some special characteristics. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, is a little experiment on input. When I do an input, how does that usually work? Well, I usually, if it's going to be an integer, I'm going to say that a is equal to, clearly I'm going to have an input, right? Input, and I'm going to have some kind of a string prompt, enter the first number, just like so. Close that string. That's really a good camper, except for I want to make sure that a is an integer. So what I'll do is I'll just go int, and I will perform a typecast on it. So now whatever comes in from input, which we know is going to be a string, it will be turned into an integer and it will be stuffed into a. So I've got a little bit of work going on there, right? And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I could turn that into a module. Yeah, I'm going to turn that critter into a module. So I'm going to make myself a little bit of room there, and I want to write a module with comments that will handle input. Okay, so this is my top-down programming. What is my top is main. My next step is getting A, B, and C. That's really what I want to do as far as input goes. Okay, so let's make a generic function that will allow me to be able to do input. So here I have input. This isn't going to work, so I'm going to type in S for string. Okay, and over here I'll go input S. So how exactly does this work? How exactly does this work? Well, it's pretty straightforward. I have input. Remember, I've got the input critter right here. You all recognize this. This is my string, isn't it? Right there is my string. So it is expecting that I get a value that's going to be a string value. Okay, and instead of putting something in quotes here, I stored it into a temporary variable that is unique to this particular function. So I have a function that I called getInt right here, and I wrote a remark. I said this function gets input and returns the integer number. Okay, I have a parameter. The prompt is a prompt string, right? So let's change that so that it makes a little more sense. Val can get it to do that for me. Yeah, prompt. Does that help you guys a little bit? Does that make it a little bit easier to understand? So prompt is the prompt string. There it is, prompt. And there's prompt. And then down here is return the integer result. I could say, for example, I could do this. All right. I could say, X is equal to input prompt. And then I can say Y is equal to int x, which turns it into an integer. And then I could say return Y. I could do that. That would do the job. Fact is, I'll just leave it the way that it is. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, except for now I've got two, or no, I only have the one parameter, so I'm good to go. All right, I'm excited. Now all I have to do is make use of it. And the way that I use it is I come over here and I type in get int, just like that. Open parentheses. It wants to know what the prompt is. So the prompt is, let's see, what I'll say enter the first number, okay? Except for I want it to be capital E. Enter the first number. And let me go ahead and put colons on that in this space to make sure it gives good spacing when that happens. Well, guess what, folks? I wrote a routine. And because I wrote a routine here like this, or I wrote a function, what I can do is I'll just grab a hold of that, Control C, Control V, Control V, and now I am going to just put in B is equal to that. I guess I didn't need to do Control V twice. Enter the first number, enter the second number, like so. Well, we've gone through the trouble to do this. Why not go ahead and run it, what we've done so far, and see if it actually flies. So I'm going to go ahead and save my little program that I've called test.py, and I'm going to come up here. You can't see it, but I have a window that will allow me to run this module. And what it did was it brought up this critter. The first number I'll just say is 2. Enter the second number 3. And let's go ahead and type in A to see what it is. It didn't like that because, of course, it didn't save them. All right. A is not defined, and the reason that A is not defined is because it is setting inside of main. All right. A was created inside of main. That means that once we've left main and we jump out of the program, then A and B are going to go away. This is called variable scope. This is super, super important to understand, all right? If a variable is created inside of a function, it will only exist within that function, okay? But I'm happy with the way things are running right now. So now what I want to do is my processing. And since I'm going to go through the trouble to do some, addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and since I'm teaching about writing modules, let's go ahead and create those 3 modules. And I'll do that right up here. And I'll do that really, really fast. And I'm going to go ahead and create the comments as well. Okay.